If you are not walking the divine path, if your heart is not aligned with heaven, turn away now. This message is not for the curious, it is not for the spiritually asleep, and it is not for those who chase earthly validation. This message is for the true chosen ones, the ones who feel the pulse of God in their bones, the ones who know they were not created for ordinary living. You did not click this video by accident. You were led here, pulled here, summoned here. Heaven has perfect timing, and when God wants to reveal something to you, it arrives without warning. Today is that moment. Stay with me until the end, because what I am about to tell you will unlock something you have been struggling to understand inside yourself. Before we begin, I want you to write in the comments one number that resonates with your spirit. 777. Let it be your mark of divine alignment. And if you are new, subscribe to the channel Rise of the Chosen, tap the bell icon, and share this message with another chosen soul. This is not just a video. This is a transmission, a spiritual reminder sent to those who are walking through the fire with God's hand over their head. Listen closely, chosen one, because the revelation you are about to receive will stay with you for the rest of your journey.
Dear chosen one, are you walking the path of God but feeling a lack of guidance? Do you feel alone and isolated and want to know why God is doing this to you? We have built a community for the 144,000 chosen ones where you can watch our premium videos, get daily newsletters and prayer techniques to connect with God more deeply. You can also read blog posts and receive free ebooks to learn more about your journey. It will be your guide to walk the path of God and lead a life of faith and wisdom. More than 1,000 brothers and sisters have already joined, so don't miss out on today's daily guidance. Check out the link in the video description and join the 144,000 Chosen One community right now.
The nature of adrenaline. Why the world lives off it. Adrenaline is the fuel of a world that does not know God. It is the chemical of fear, of survival, of reaction, of instinct. When something threatens the body, when chaos arrives suddenly, when the mind thinks it is about to lose control, adrenaline rushes through the bloodstream. The heart speeds up, the muscles tighten, the breathing becomes sharp, and the human being becomes a creature of instinct. This is how most people live. They depend on chaos to feel alive. They need conflict, danger, drama, competition, and tension to feel purpose. Their bodies, not their souls, decide how they behave. They chase the thrill and call it destiny. They chase the rush and call it passion. They mistake survival for strength. The world glorifies adrenaline because the world is addicted to fear. People love horror movies, dangerous sports, risky relationships, arguments and power struggles because these things trigger adrenaline. It makes them feel like something important is happening. They mistake intensity for meaning. They confuse reaction with identity. They live in a cycle of stimulation, always needing more, always chasing the next moment of excitement or anger or confrontation. But adrenaline is animal energy. It belongs to the flesh, not the spirit. It is the primitive system God gave to the body for emergencies, not for living, not for building destiny, not for walking divine paths. Look at society. Look at the way people speak about ambition. They say grind, hustle, rush, conquer, outwork everyone, never sleep, never rest. They glorify intensity, not intention. They celebrate burnout like it is a badge of honor. They treat exhaustion like a medal. They teach young people that the only way to be seen is to scream. The only way to be successful is to live in stress, pressure, and fear. They feed the body until the soul withers. They push adrenaline until the heart breaks. And when their body collapses, when the stress makes them sick, when anxiety devours their peace, the same world that told them to grind tells them to calm down. They are trapped in a system that uses them as fuel. Adrenaline is a form of control. When people live in adrenaline, they are reactive, easy to manipulate, easy to provoke. Someone insults them and they explode. Someone threatens them and they panic. Someone challenges them and they feel forced to prove themselves. They spend their energy fighting battles that were never theirs. They fight strangers online, they fight co-workers, they fight their own family, they even fight with themselves. All because adrenaline whispers to them that they must respond immediately. There is no reflection, no patience, no discernment. Adrenaline kills strategy. Adrenaline destroys clarity. Adrenaline blinds the mind so completely that people make decisions they spend years regretting. This is why governments, media, and corporations thrive off adrenaline. They feed the human nervous system with constant alerts, notifications, breaking news, wars, scandals, tragedies, competition. Always something urgent, always something dramatic, always something designed to trigger reaction. People scroll endlessly because adrenaline tells them they are missing something. They consume content they do not need because adrenaline tells them there is danger. They argue with strangers because adrenaline tells them they need to defend themselves. They chase trends because adrenaline tells them they must keep up or be left behind. The world keeps them busy so they never pause, never breathe, never listen to the voice of God. The masses are programmed to believe adrenaline is power. They think the louder they become, the stronger they become. They think the more aggressive they act, the safer they are. They think the more dramatic their life is, the more meaningful it is. This is why people drown in toxic relationships. This is why they stay with abusive partners. This is why they chase people who treat them terribly. They confuse emotional chaos with passion. They mistake adrenaline for love. They mistake addiction for connection. They do not know that real love is peaceful. Real power is quiet. Real purpose is intentional. They do not know that what they call excitement is actually nervous system instability. Look closely at how people behave when they are addicted to adrenaline. They sabotage their own peace. When things are calm, they pick fights. When life is stable, they create problems. When their relationship is healthy, they begin to provoke jealousy or insecurity. They search for conflict because their nervous system has become dependent on chaos. Without adrenaline, they feel empty. Without stress, they feel lost. They do not understand that this emptiness is not spiritual hunger, but chemical withdrawal. Their body does not know how to exist without stimulation, so they create tension to feed their addiction. This is one of the reasons why so many people cannot sit quietly with themselves. Silence exposes them. Stillness terrifies them. Peace feels unnatural. The world treats adrenaline like oxygen. Entire industries depend on it. Marketing companies use fear of missing out. Political systems use conflict to divide people. Entertainment industries use violence, betrayal, and scandal to keep people glued to screens. They trigger adrenaline intentionally because adrenaline overrides logic. When people are emotional, they spend more, they click more, they argue more, they watch more, they obey more. Adrenaline is a slave master disguised as excitement. It feeds the ego and starves the soul. Think about how many people make their biggest mistakes while under adrenaline. They get angry and quit a job. They panic and end a relationship. They lose their temper and destroy their reputation. They rush into investments and lose money. They respond to threats and escalate a situation they could have walked away from. And when the adrenaline fades, they sit there with regret. That is because adrenaline gives you speed, not wisdom. It gives you force, not direction. It gives you energy, not purpose. It is the currency of the lost. The world lives off adrenaline because the world does not know peace. It does not know divine timing. It does not know guidance. When someone does not trust God, they must trust their impulses. When someone does not rely on revelation, they must rely on reaction. When someone does not hear the voice of heaven, they must obey the noise of fear. This is why you will always see the masses frantic, panicking, chasing, competing, collapsing under their own pressure. They are trying to build empires with a nervous system that was designed to handle lions and earthquakes. They try to control destiny with a chemical god created for survival, not creation. Adrenaline has its place. A soldier in battle, a driver avoiding a crash, a mother saving a child from danger. It is a tool, not a foundation. It is like fire, useful when contained, destructive when worshipped. When you use adrenaline the way God designed it, it is a servant. When you build your identity on it, it becomes your master. And the world has chosen adrenaline as its master because the world refuses to choose God. But the chosen ones are different. They are not here to live off adrenaline. They are here to channel something far more powerful, something that never burns them out, something that does not collapse them under stress, something that does not depend on fear or danger. They are here to walk with divine power. The chosen operate on divine power, not chemical reactions. The ordinary live by chemicals, the chosen live by command. Those who do not know God rely on adrenaline, serotonin, dopamine. the temporary flickers of a biological body. They chase stimulation because their spirit is starving. Their power lasts only as long as their nerves can sustain it, and when their nerves collapse, so does their identity. But the chosen do not anchor themselves in the nervous system. They do not build their confidence on hormones. They are not powered by the temporary. They are powered by the eternal. Their source is divine, and their energy bypasses the flesh. They can be tired in the body and still unstoppable in purpose. They can be wounded in the world, but unshaken in the spirit. They do not require adrenaline because their power is not reactive. Their power comes from alignment. You may have noticed this in yourself without fully understanding it. You are not the one who screams when threatened. You do not need to raise your voice to be heard. You do not need chaos to feel alive. You do not need to be surrounded by applause to feel valuable. You walk into a room and the atmosphere shifts without you saying a word. People with loud personalities suddenly grow silent. The arrogant become insecure. The aggressive become hesitant. You never intended to intimidate them. You didn't plan to dominate their space. But divine power does not request permission. It simply radiates. The chosen do not need to show force because their presence is a declaration of force. The world will tell you that power comes from intensity. They will say that the most energized people are the winners, that the most aggressive voices are the leaders, that the most emotional reactions are the strongest. But the chosen know something the world will never understand. The highest power is stillness. Divine current is not jittery, it is not frantic, it is not desperate, it is steady, it is quiet, it is sovereign. When adrenaline makes others shake, divine energy makes you stand. When adrenaline makes others rush, divine energy makes you move with purpose. When adrenaline makes others fear, divine energy makes you see clearly. You become a vessel that heaven can use at any moment without needing to be hyped up or pushed. Think about how Jesus carried power. He did not run at enemies. He did not yell to prove authority. He did not fight to convince people of his identity. He spoke and storms bowed. He touched and sickness vanished. He commanded and spirits fled. Divine power is not frantic force. It is sacred authority. The chosen reflect this. They do not chase validation. They do not negotiate with darkness. They do not beg to be understood. Their inner calm is evidence of spiritual rank. People who live on chemicals feel offended by this. They call you emotionless, cold, detached, arrogant, antisocial. They cannot comprehend why you do not respond the way they do. They think you are refusing to participate when, in reality, you are operating on a frequency they cannot hear. Divine power creates a different kind of clarity. When everyone else panics, the chosen strategize. When everyone else gets emotional, the chosen discern. When others rush into danger, the chosen wait for instruction. Chosen ones have patience that confuses people. You do not move until the Spirit tells you to move. You do not speak until you are guided to speak. You do not attack unless heaven has already declared victory. This patience is not laziness, it is spiritual accuracy. A sniper does not waste bullets. A prophet does not waste words. A chosen does not waste their anointing on momentary reactions. Your restraint is not weakness, it is mastery. Only those who live from chemicals need to explode to feel powerful. Those who carry divine current simply exist, and the world responds to them. You must understand that this divine current is not emotional comfort. It is not positive energy. This is not the soft empowerment of motivational culture. This is the living fire of heaven. It is the force that parted seas, collapsed kingdoms, raised the dead, and dismantled empires. When you are chosen, your body becomes a conduit. You do not need adrenaline to fight because God fights through you. When an enemy moves against you, they face something that is not human. When an attack comes, it collides with something beyond flesh and bone. If it were about adrenaline, every chosen one would be panicked their entire life. The enemy would win by constantly provoking your nervous system, but divine power is immune to provocation. When you are anchored in it, the enemy cannot pull you into emotional chaos. They cannot drag you into panic. They cannot trick you into reacting. This is why chosen people often look emotionless in situations where others are overwhelmed. When someone insults you, you observe them. When someone threatens you, you analyze them. When someone tries to provoke you, you study their intentions. Your nervous system is not the battlefield, your spirit is. And the enemy hates this. They hate that they cannot make you flinch. They hate that you do not break in the predictable ways. They hate that you do not panic when they attack. They hate that your spirit is not triggered by their pressure. So they call you strange. They call you unfeeling. They say you are distant, detached, robotic. But this distance is spiritual discipline. It is the separation required to carry prophetic weight. Divine power does not just protect you, it transforms you. When others look for stimulants, you look for alignment. When others look for motivation, you look for revelation. When others look for adrenaline to start a project, you look for God's timing. You do not need to feel inspired to act. You move because you are instructed, and because heaven ordered it, the path opens. The world calls this luck. They cannot explain why doors appear for you that do not appear for them. They cannot explain why people who hate you still end up helping you. They cannot explain why opportunities find you in silence. They cannot explain why you recover from setbacks faster than they do. They cannot explain why every time someone tries to sabotage you, something bigger arrives. They think it is coincidence. But when you are chosen, coincidence is another name for divine orchestration. This is why your peace is dangerous, your silence is powerful, your calm is unsettling. You do not run at the enemy like a soldier moved by adrenaline. You stand like someone who already knows the outcome. And the truth is that you do know. Chosen ones carry internal knowing. Before the problem appears, the solution has already been whispered to their spirit. Before the enemy forms the plan, heaven has already neutralized it. Before the world sees the danger, the chosen have already sensed it. When you are aligned, your intuition becomes prophetic. You hear things before they are spoken. You see things before they manifest. You feel the shift before the world even notices. You are not reacting to the moment. You are acting according to the blueprint. When someone tries to measure you by adrenaline-based standards, they fail. They say you lack passion because you do not scream. They say you lack ambition because you do not rush. They say you lack strength because you do not fight loudly. They do not realize that divine power does not require noise. The ocean does not shout to sink ships. The sun does not yell to burn skin. A lion does not roar to claim territory. True power exists comfortably in silence. It does not need adrenaline to convince itself it is alive. The chosen are monuments, not fireworks. Fireworks burn brightly, briefly, loudly, and disappear. Monuments stand for centuries without noise. They do not move, yet the world moves around them. They do not ask to be seen, yet every eye finds them. That is divine power. It is steady, unshakable, impossible to ignore. It does not care about adrenaline because it was not designed to survive. It was designed to endure. You are not meant to live moment to moment like a creature being chased. You are meant to live season to season like someone who knows the author of your destiny. When you operate from divine power, you do not ask, "How do I survive?" You ask, "What is the mission?" And here is the truth. The chosen carry heaven's momentum. Once God sets you in motion, nothing in the flesh can slow you down. You may rest, but you never retreat. You may pause, but you never collapse. You may bend, but you will not break. The world runs on adrenaline and begs for a moment of relief. The chosen run on divine current and walk with peace even in the fire. That is why you cannot be understood, why you cannot be defined, why you cannot be replaced. Because you are not powered by reaction. You are powered by God. Fearless by design. The warrior stability of the chosen. There is a reason the chosen do not shake the way others do. It is not because life has been kinder to them. It is not because their path is smoother. In fact, the chosen endure storms far more intense than those of the average soul. They experience loss, betrayal, spiritual warfare, isolation, confusion, and opposition from forces that most people never encounter. Yet they do not collapse. They do not crumble when the wind hits. Their calm in chaos is not a personality trait. It is a divine installation. God designed them as warriors, and warriors do not tremble when the battle begins. To understand this stability, you must understand who trained you. From the earliest days of your journey, you were different. You carried a depth that others could not explain. When other children panicked, you thought. When other teenagers chased excitement, you observed. When other adults fell apart under pressure, you felt something inside you get sharper, clearer, quieter. This was not because your nervous system was stronger. It was because your spirit was already awake. You are not a person walking around reacting to life. You are a vessel God prepared long before you understood the assignment. He forged your inner world in the fire. You learned to adapt before you even had vocabulary for what you were going through. This is why people think you are emotionless. They cannot comprehend someone who does not shake when they would scream. The chosen ones have a different kind of backbone. Their courage is not loud. You do not announce your confidence. You do not inflate your accomplishments. You do not waste time proving yourself. When everyone else feels the need to be seen, you simply exist. When others try to show strength, you do not compete. Your strength is internal, like a compressed spring. It is not flamboyant, it is concentrated. That is why people misjudge you. They assume that because you do not shout, you are weak. Because you do not panic, you are passive. Because you do not perform strength, you do not have any. Then the moment comes when the pressure rises and you do something that shocks them. You speak in the right moment, you move in the right direction, you make the right decision, and suddenly they realize they were dealing with someone far more prepared than they understood. Warriors are not defined by adrenaline. Warriors are defined by stillness. Think about ancient soldiers. The most dangerous one was never the loudest. It was the one who stood still, who studied the battlefield, who waited for the exact moment to strike. Anyone can swing a sword wildly. Only the trained can strike with precision. This is you. When chaos breaks out, most people lose their minds. They get emotional, impulsive, reactive. They want to move, shout, run, fight, argue, prove. You do not. You go inward, you examine, you notice patterns others miss. You listen to what is not being said. Your heart does not speed up at every threat because your power does not come from fear. The chosen operate with prophetic instinct. Before the enemy acts, you already understand the motive. Before the danger appears, you sensed it. This is divine stability. Many chosen ones mistake this trait for weakness in their earlier life. You wondered why you did not get angry easily, why drama did not interest you, why confrontations felt pointless. You watched others scream and thought to yourself, what is the benefit? You saw people fight over petty issues and you did not feel moved to join. You thought maybe you were too passive, too quiet, too slow. But in reality, God was preparing you. He was sharpening you into someone who could endure the weight of destiny. Only those who are still in spirit can carry heaven's assignments. If you were reactive, if you were impulsive, if you were easily provoked, the enemy could toy with you. Every loud voice could destabilize you. Every emotional person could hijack your destiny. But because God made you steady, your heart is anchored. You are not easily moved. This warrior stability is not about ignoring emotion. It is about mastering emotion. The chosen feel deeply. They hurt intensely. They love fiercely. But they do not allow emotion to drag them where purpose has not called them. You might cry in private, but when you step into the world, you move with control. You might feel overwhelmed, but you do not break. You process your pain without letting it poison your direction. Others bleed their emotions out in every direction. They seek validation through outbursts. The chosen channel their emotions into discipline. They turn heartbreak into wisdom. They turn betrayal into discernment. They turn loneliness into prayer. They turn disappointment into strategy. Their emotions do not destroy them. They refine them. When God calls someone to spiritual warfare, He does not choose the easily shaken. He does not choose the ones who rely on applause. He does not choose the ones who panic when people leave. He chooses the ones who can stand alone. He chooses the ones who can walk through barren seasons without breaking. He chooses the ones who can stand in silence without losing their identity. You may not have realized it before, but all those moments of isolation, all those seasons where you felt misunderstood, all those friendships that fell apart, all those battles you had to fight alone, they were not punishments. They were training. Heaven was constructing your emotional armor. God was removing every dependency that could be used against you. This is why the chosen cannot be intimidated the way others can. People try to manipulate them, and the chosen simply watch. They use pressure, guilt, threats, insults, silent treatment, and none of it works. The chosen do not respond with fear because fear is not their fuel. You carry an authority that others cannot access because they have not endured your training. You do not flex your power, it simply exists. When someone tries to provoke you, they experience a strange sensation, a spiritual resistance they cannot name. They may never admit it, but they feel small in your presence. This is why they gossip. This is why they try to belittle you. When they cannot shake you, They attack you indirectly. Your calm is a mirror that reflects their weakness. There are people who will try to measure you by their own emotional formulas. They think that because you do not react, you do not care. They think that because you do not speak loudly, you have no voice. They think that because you do not chase them, you have no worth. They do not understand that warriors do not chase. Warriors stand and let the battlefield come to them. You do not need to run toward validation when you already walk with God's affirmation. You do not beg for attention because your identity is rooted in service, not approval. Every chosen one has a moment in their life where they witness this truth in action. In a crisis, people look to them.